About 10 years ago, I went to a mountain village in the country as a trainee teacher after graduating from university. Although I had to go to a strange place, I was not alone because I also had a classmate with me. His name is Ben. The place we went to work was relatively backward. The school was a dilapidated 2-story house located on a mountain to the west of the village. Because the village was backward, living conditions were not good and there were no dormitories, so we lived in a free classroom on the first floor of the school. Since there was nothing to entertain us there, we usually went to bed very early. Every night, I took advantage of the bed sheets and blankets. The hardest part every night was that I had to go to the toilet before going to bed. After making the bed, I grabbed the flashlight and prepared to go out. At this time, my friend told me to be careful when walking because it was very dark around here. It was quite deserted around here, so I also felt a bit scared. I turned to ask Ben to go with me for fun, but Ben said that he was very sleepy. He also warned me one more thing, that in the village, it seemed that someone had just died. This thing scared me even more. It turned out that this guy was trying to scare me too. Ben told me that someone in this village was buried on the hill west of this school a few days ago. Hearing this, I didn't know why my friend was trying to scare me anymore. Regardless of what Ben said, I turned my head and took the flashlight to go outside. As soon as I went out, I saw that the surroundings were dark with no moonlight. Honestly, I was also a little worried. The toilet of the school was on the side of the road outside the school, nearly 100 meters from the school gate. There were no houses around the school, which was extremely deserted. But right now, in a hurry, I could only reassure myself and walk towards the gate. This place was different from the city. The night was extremely quiet. Not even a light was visible. I turned on my flashlight to find the way and finally reached the toilet. Although the toilets here were a bit run down and old-fashioned, it was always a great feeling to have the problem resolved promptly. After going to the toilet, when I stepped outside, I suddenly heard faint footsteps coming from somewhere. Hearing the movement, I thought Ben must have sneaked out quietly, hid outside the toilet and prepared to scare me. So I raised my voice, telling him that I had spotted him already. "You're gone, I've seen you!" But after I finished, something caught my attention. I immediately flashed my flashlight in the direction of the moving person. It was weird. 2 people showed up. So it was not Ben. I wondered why the 2 of them were walking at night at this time and they didn't even use flashlights. The strange thing was that the height of these 2 people in the dark was not like an adult, but like 2 12 or 13-year-old children. Suddenly they stopped and slowly turned back. I felt a little scared at the time. I gathered my courage and shone a flashlight at them. The scene that followed made me jump. I found the clothes of those 2 very strange. It was kind of red, blue and very bright. I thought that maybe it was the local costumes here. I was surprised and kept asking questions in my head. Only now did I notice half of their faces hidden in the shadows, especially the 2 red lips, which seemed very strange. And just a few seconds later, I was shocked by the terrifying scene before my eyes. The faces of these 2 suddenly became monstrous. They stared at me terribly. At this point, they looked very lifeless. I realized that they were 2 paper people with eerie smiles on their gloomy faces. They were staring at me. Paper. Paper people. My mouth stammered. My face stiffened. I looked extremely panicked. Terrified, I slipped and fell, dropping both the flashlight and the toilet paper in my hand. The 2 paper people were still standing, smiling weirdly and getting uglier and uglier. That smile completely haunted me. I used all my strength and ran away for life. As I ran, I shouted that there was a ghost. After running for a while, I turned around to see if they were chasing me. Under the light of the flashlight, they were still standing motionless and looking in my direction. Their faces began to become more monstrous, their smiles downright terrifying. Hearing my screams from afar, Ben rushed to the door and asked me what was wrong. I rushed in and shouted that there were ghosts. "Oh no! Paper people!" When Ben heard me talk about the paper people, he was also amazed. Not letting him continue to ask me, I quickly pushed him into the room. Immediately after, I closed the door and locked it. After closing the door, my back was against the door, my feet fell to the ground, and I started to gasp. Ben reassured me to stay calm and tell him everything. "Ben, I saw 2 ghosts!" At first, Ben thought I was pretending, but after he noticed that my whole body was shaking and my face was pale, he finally realized that something was wrong. Then he squatted down and hurriedly reassured me. Paper people! I saw 2 paper people. I slowed my breathing a bit and talked about what just happened to Ben. After listening to me, Ben was silent for a moment, then helped me to the bed to rest. But lying in bed, I couldn't fall asleep. I tossed and turned all night. My mind was filled with the bizarre scene. The following morning, the sun rose and warm rays were shining through the window. I woke Ben up and went to report this to the village secretary. At our insistence, the village secretary would find us a house in the village too. Although the new accommodation was worse than the school accommodation, it was in the village anyway, and I felt safer. Only later did I learn that a couple had died in the village a few days ago. The night I saw the 2 paper people were just 7 days after their death. At the time of burial, the family burned down 2 paper dolls. But that night, I saw 2 paper people walking on the street. I have no idea what happened. That was also the question I still hadn't found the answer to.